having not worshipped Radha and Krishna, I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of divine love in Goloka Vrindavana has descended as the congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night, my heart burns on the fire of the poison of worldliness, and I have not taken the means to relieve it. Lord Krishna was the son of King of Vraj, became the son of Sachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram became Nitai. The holy name delivered all those souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madai, are evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vrishabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottama-dasa says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? So, we can understand the meaning of the song. It's very dear to Srila Prabhupada. It portrays Prabhupada's mood. Anyone play Madanga? Anyone play Madanga? Hari Hari Bifale Gonainu Hari Hari Bifale janiya suniya visha khainu janiya suniya visha khainu golokera hari-nama-sankirtana golokera prema-dhana hari-nama-sankirtana rati-na-milo samsara-bishanale
Bifale Janama gonainu. Hari Hari Bifale Janama gonainu. Hari Hari Bifale Janama.
Ishta-deve Vijnapti
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Gaura Premanandi.
Hari Hari Bol.
Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna Vistaya Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Gaura Vrindavana Visesha Samulai Astacharya Shatani. Om Magyana Kimiran Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Vidati Svapadam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Patam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikakanta Radha-kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware vrishabhanu-suta-devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpalpurubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasade Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The mood of Srila Prabhupada. What can you say? How can one contain it, in a sense, in a few words. Goodness, avalanche gardens. We could use the example, for instance, here in Sydney of Prabhupada's mood, when he installed the deities of Radha Gopinath. What was his mood? One of intense compassion, humility, true humility, not some showy sort of so-called humility, but true humility. Being completely surrendered at the lotus feet of his Guru, lotus feet of the Lord. We are here this morning. Today is the appearance day of Gadadhar Pandit Goswami. And how so much was Gadadhar Pandit is Lalita Devi, or Radharani. Devi is also expansion of Radharani. Manifested in the personality of Gadadhar Pandit, particular aspect of Srimati Radharani's personality, of her mood. There's many moods. And to display certain moods she expands. Srila Prabhupada also, we could say, different devotees would see differently, reciprocated differently with different devotees. Sometimes he was gentle. From the external vision he was always gentle, really. But from the external vision, sometimes he was gentle. Sometimes he was like a thunderbolt. Just like when he was here in Sydney, he installed the deities. Normally when Prabhupada would install deities, he would ask the devotees to please look after the deities nicely. But here Prabhupada's mood was different. Here he begged the deity, he prayed to the deities, please, my dear Radha Gopinath, please look after the devotees. They don't know what they're doing. Really, that's the case with all of us, although in one sense Prabhupada did request us to look after the deities, but they're really looking after us. True humility is that Prabhupada is completely dependent upon their mercy. He's not behaving in such a way to get some, say, sentimental respect or following. Surrender at the lotus feet of his beloved lords. It's like Arjuna was surrendered on the battle of Kurukshetra to Krishna's will. That's called humility. When we give up our own display, no longer trying to display our peacock feathers or our so-called abilities and talents, but rather we've surrendered everything at the lotus feet of the Lord. Let us read something which came to my mind as to be an indication of Prabhupada's mood, and the mood for all of us, really, although it may manifest a little, especially in each and every one of us. Sometimes it's understood also that Srila Prabhupada's personality, his mood, is everything. A little bit of that you find in his followers. Not one will possess or display all the qualities, obviously, or even the full mood, in one sense, depending on how you look at that. But every disciple has a certain aspect of Prabhupada's, Prabhupada, really. And if we actually put everything together, If everyone works with what Prabhupada emphasized so much, he wanted all the devotees to work cooperatively together. That doesn't mean everyone just does one person says, you cooperate with me and do what I say. It means that everybody's got a particular part to play. We work together, so we play our parts in a cooperative way. We don't force others to play the part we want them. Rather, we see what is our part and we work cooperatively together in sharing what we've received from Prabhupada with others. Prabhupada wanted us all to preach. Preaching is a very broad subject matter. Extremely broad. It incorporates everything. One time, one devotee in Mayapur was a big preacher, you could say. They were saying, Srila Prabhupada, we have many devotees going out preaching and spreading Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada has many times glorified the activity of preaching and how it's a guarantee. Krishna also guarantees one's spiritual deliverance from this world. But what about those devotees who are not preaching Prabhupada? Those who are not doing Sankirtan? What is their situation? Prabhupada said, what do you mean, not doing Sankirtan? Every devotee is doing Sankirtan. But Prabhupada gave a different perspective. Sankirtan means serving according to my direction. It's not an activity per se. It's the consciousness, it's the mood of surrender, the mood of service. But the whole world, house for the whole world to live in, is not a physical building. It's a state of connection or consciousness, where the whole world becomes, people become aware that this is Krishna's property. It's a matter of Krishna consciousness. Sankirtan means consciousness. So Prabhupada is what he called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Becoming conscious of Krishna. It's not specific on any one subject. It's a consciousness. Prabhupada's mood was always Krishna conscious. Humility is to always see things for Krishna's pleasure. Like Vedanta Pandit, he was always thinking of Krishna's pleasure. He didn't care even if he was defamed. Everything was for Krishna's pleasure. So devotee Srila Prabhupada was always thinking, this is the mood. Always in the mood of what will please Krishna, what will please my Guru. In that mood one becomes empowered. Prabhupada was empowered. I'm going to read this poem, which Prabhupada, and this is something which we can all, it's in the book, so you can read it. In the songbook, hopefully in your songbooks too. Prayer to the lotus feet. Prabhupada's mood was always prayerful. Constantly prayer. One time in Bombay, one of his servant came into his room, and Prabhupada had just given a lecture. In the lecture he said that, be careful, anyone may fall down from devotional service at any time because we're not fixed up. Uttama Bhagavat, they're fixed up, they will never fall down. But even preachers have to be careful because we're connecting with the material world, and there will be sometimes tests and challenges. What to speak of the beginning devotee, there is danger. We have to be careful, very careful in our practice of devotional service, not to slip. The Uttama Bhagavat will not, they're fixed up, they will fall down. But afterwards, Prabhupada was in his room, and his servant came in, and he saw that Prabhupada was praying. My dear Srimati Radharani, please protect me that I not fall down. Something along those lines. The servant was a little bit curious, because Prabhupada had, everyone accepted that Prabhupada was an Uttama Bhagavat, topmost devotee. What question is there of falling down? But Prabhupada explained that this is the reason. This is Uttama Bhagavat. Not that he was proclaiming himself as one, indirectly explaining that the only protection we have for not falling down is we're always taking shelter of the internal potency. That's what we're doing when we're chanting Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada's mood was to always taking shelter of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani and his Guru and Krishna. This is his mood. Always taking shelter. He wasn't some self-proclaimed commander or something. But he was simply a humble servant of his spiritual master. And through Srila Prabhupada, the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread Sankirtan. There's this mood of humility, of dependence, and taking shelter of the bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession that endears one to Krishna and makes one eligible to be an instrument for the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in whatever capacity or aspect we're meant to be, fulfilling our existence. This was Prabhupada's mood, always in a prayerful mood, always humble. He was fully confident, fully enthusiastic, because he was taking shelter of the lotus feet of his spiritual master. What was his name? Abhay Charan, so he was fearless. He was completely, when you take shelter like this, no humility, lotus feet of one's spiritual master, and has firm faith, Ishta-deve Vijnapti in one's spiritual master's instructions, and one is very confident. We were also, same thing, when I came in to the movement at a certain time, already the movement had been going for several years in the West, and the devotees were so confident. Prabhupada instilled that confidence within us. His mood was very bold. When you're confident, enthusiastic, at the same time very patient and very humble. Sometimes we see almost like there's a contradiction in these qualities, but there's not in the spiritual world. He instilled that mood in the devotees. They picked it up. The devotees were very confident. We're going to conquer the world in a few years. Yes, this is the mood. Krishna consciousness will take over the world. We were confident. You can say, okay, well, your confidence wasn't manifested. But Prabhupada was always confident. He was convinced because the Shastras state. Lord Chaitanya is giving the instruction. Every town and village is chanting the hari-nama-sankirtana. People's hearts would change. He was confident. Even it may not manifest when he was in New York. No disciples, no temple. When he was talking to that subway worker, the man was asking him, what was he doing there? Did he have some temple or what? Prabhupada said, yes, we have many temples. He had nothing. He didn't even have his own place. Sitting on a park bench. We have many temples. We have many followers. We have many books, farms. So many things Prabhupada was saying. But there's this little time separation. Prabhupada was very convinced, and that conviction was contagious. They were so bold. Young men and women going out into basically the wilderness, going out not into the wilderness. In the wilderness there's no challenge except for the elements, but going out into the center of Kali Yuga, challenging the very say society itself, the whole paradigm of modern society, challenging in every way almost, not messing around, not compromising. Although for the sake of preaching we may sometimes, let's say, sugarcoat Krishna consciousness, but not compromise it. They didn't compromise. They sent it in ways which may be palatable, but it was the same message. Surrender or else. That's like the Christians would say. No, surrender to Krishna was his message. Surrender to Krishna. Because Prabhupada was fully surrendered to Krishna, Radha and Krishna, his Guru. Therefore he could instill that mood in us. Mood, surrender. All these things are there. Let's read this poem. You ready? This was written on September the 10th, 1965. I don't know what page it's on. I haven't got the
28.
28. Prayers to the lotus feet of Krishna. This is September the 10th. Oh no, he wrote the poem on September the 13th, but on September the 10th, let's read what he says, or writes rather. He's on a boat. See, Prabhupada's determination to get here into the day from Rishikesh, how determined Prabhupada was to go to America to preach. He didn't have to go to preach, but it was the instruction of his spiritual master. The disciple imbibes the mood of the spiritual master, you see. His spiritual master wanted to preach. And that was the first instruction Prabhupada got from his spiritual master. You preach this message of Krishna consciousness, this message of Lord Chaitanya, you preach it in the English language. But Prabhupada tried a little bit in India, but not so much effect. So, and he specifically, of course, his spiritual master said all over the world. So, Prativitiyachiyati Nagaradigram. So that instruction was given to him. It was given to so many disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, but none of them took it up. Bhakti Prabhupada took it up. This is the mood. The mood is to follow the instruction of the spiritual master. That's humility. That's taking shelter of his lotus feet. So he took that instruction as his life and soul. And somehow or another, with great difficulty, at the age of 70, he traveled the ocean to America on board a ship called the Jaladuta, of all things. The very word Jaladuta means the messenger of the ocean, who crosses the ocean. The boat itself will prophesy Srila Prabhupada's mission. Alone he went. His fearlessness, confidence. Alone, with no money. Nowadays, if someone's asked to go out, or the talk of opening a center is, where's the building? Where's the money? Where's the devotees? Where's my car? Give me the list of all the devotees in that area so I can collect money. So, Prabhupada wasn't Prabhupada's mood. That wasn't his mood. He would just do it. He would say that way before night. He said, just do it. Just do it. He would send devotees out with nothing. Nothing except for the instruction. And Krishna's mercy. Well, essence, depending on Krishna's mercy. Got the instruction? Do it. I was so bold, I would go out all day and night, distribute books, people chanting the holy names. And at great risk. I mean, that's another form of humility. Sometimes it would be difficult. People would criticize, sometimes physically accost. They were so convinced, because Prabhupada was so convinced, completely confident. But this is what we're meant to do. This is the purpose of our life. We're meant to live for Krishna's pleasure. And what more to help other living entities to realize they exist for Krishna's pleasure. Living entities suffering because they don't realize that. They're trying to get pleasure from other ways. They're trying to get pleasure for themselves. But the real nature of the soul is to bring pleasure to Krishna. And Prabhupada only did whatever he did to please his Guru and Krishna. Not for his own pleasure, not for his own aggrandizement, or fame, or anything. He simply did it because, if you love somebody, you do what they want. There's no one more dear in this world than a preacher. Krishna himself says, one who tries to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita is the dearest person. Most dear. But Prabhupada instilled that. We have no idea, really, who Krishna is in one sense. But Prabhupada engaged us, still is engaging us, in trying to share Krishna consciousness with others. This mood of true compassion. Not the compassion of the material world where people are, materially just thinking of material welfare only. Mental and physical welfare. But to deliver people from this illusion, from this entanglement in this world. The Prabhupada wrote on board this boat on September the 10th, 1965. in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean alone. Today the ship is plying smoothly. I feel today better, but I am feeling separation from Sri Vrindavan and my Lord Sri Govinda, Gopinath, Radha Damodar. So it's another part of Prabhupada's mood, a mood of separation. And he saw there's two types of separation. One is the spiritual one, and one is the fact that we're in the material world, also experiencing separation from Krishna. They're both painful in their own sense, but one is, the painful is ecstatic, the other painful is miserable. The material one, due to separation from Krishna, the living entities of suffering over and over again, birth and death and disease and old age. The separation Prabhupada is feeling is of a different kind. It's actually a complete absorption at the lotus feet of Krishna. Complete absorption. My only solace is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which I am tasting the nectar of Lord Chaitanya's Leela. I have left Bharat Bhumi just to execute the order of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification, but I take up the risk just to carry out the order of His divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy so far away from Vrindavan. This is the mood. Depending on their mercy. Taking up the instruction and depend on the mercy. Fight and depend on me, Krishna said. 3 days later, on September 13th, he wrote this poem. I won't read the Bengal, though it's beautiful to sing it, and you should sing it. Somebody should learn beautiful tune, how to sing this beautiful song. Shri Siddhanta Saraswati saci-suta priyati, and a little different than that, but something along those lines. I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. This is the actual secret.
What page is it? 28. They've got the wrong page. 28.
Follow if you can. Prabhupada says, I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is very dear to Lord Gauranga, the son of Mother Sachi, is unparalleled in his service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is that great saintly spiritual master who bestows intense devotion to Krishna at different places throughout the world. By his strong desire, the holy name of Lord Gauranga will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world, in all the cities, towns, and villages on the earth, from all the oceans, seas, rivers, and streams. Everyone will chant the holy name of Krishna. As the vast mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conquers all directions, a flood of transcendental ecstasy will certainly cover the land. When all the sinful, miserable living entities become happy, the Vaishnava's desire is then fulfilled. This is Prabhupada. He was feeling so much distress for the suffering of the living entities. And he wanted to relieve that distress. And on the other side, he wanted to bring pleasure to Krishna by bringing them back to Krishna's lotus feet to bring pleasure to Krishna. He didn't to please Krishna. He was preaching. Lord Chaitanya gave this order to every living entity, especially those of Indian origin, specifically, manushya-janama, that those born in India or of Indian origin should make their life successful by becoming Krishna conscious and giving it to others. He said, I order every man, every person, every person, to distribute this Krishna consciousness everywhere, to everyone, no matter who they are. Do a little bit, at least. Share what we've got with everybody. This is how one becomes dear to the Lord. Secret. Simple secret. Share what we have. Try to spread Krishna consciousness. Although my Guru Maharaj ordered me to accomplish this mission, I'm not worthy or fit to do it. So this is humility again. I am very fallen and insignificant. Therefore, O Lord, now I am begging for your mercy, so that I may become worthy, for you are the wisest and most experienced of all. If you bestow your power by serving the spiritual master, one attains the absolute truth. One's life becomes successful. If that service is obtained, then one becomes happy and gets your association due to good fortune. My dear Lord, this is a quote from Prahlad Maharaj, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes. Following the general populace, not so much literally a blind well full of snakes, but in other words the material world, full of all kinds of envy and jealousy and greed and lust and so on. But your servant, Narada Muni, kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? This is how Prabhupada one time said, if you are at all indebted to the spiritual master, then you can show your indebtedness by preaching boldly, just like I have tried, as I have done, to preach Krishna consciousness. O Lord Krishna, you are my eternal companion. Forgetting you, I have suffered the kicks of Maya birth after birth. If today the chance to meet you occurs again, then I will surely be able to rejoin you. O dear friend, in your company I will experience great joy once again. In the early morning I will wander about the carrot pastures and fields, running and frolicking in the many forests of Vraj. I will roll on the ground in spiritual ecstasy. Oh, when will that day be mine? Today that remembrance of you came to me in a very nice way, because I have a great longing I called to you. I am your eternal servant, and therefore I desire your association so much. O Lord Krishna, except for you there is no other means of success. And then a few days later, on September the 17th, Srila Prabhupada wrote this poem when the boat actually arrived in New York, in Boston, first Boston, then New York. He wrote this poem in Boston when the boat first arrived, in Boston. And it's a famous, called Markane Bhagavat Dharma. It means preaching Bhagavat Dharma in America. Can you imagine? The land where people... One time Radhanath Maharaj was in Varshana, and before he became a member of ISKCON, he was talking to some devotee in Varshana, some local sadhu in Varshana. And this local sadhu was speaking English. So he asked Radhanath, who was something else then, where he was from. Radhanath was from Chicago. Chicago, that sinful place. Terrible place. Terrible place. It was famous for cow slaughter and gangsters and things. People had heard of it even in India. Even Calcutta, could you imagine? To speak of Chicago. Even Calcutta, Gorky Shordas Babi, he would refuse to go to Calcutta, even though he was, health-wise, wouldn't go. Refused. That sinful place. Can you imagine? Preaching Bhagavat Dharma in America, where, it was, in those days, practically speaking, as I mentioned the day when I became a vegetarian, before I came to Krishna consciousness, my parents thought I'd had some problem, mental problem. They wanted to send me to the psychiatrist. People thought people who were vegetarians were crazy. Something wrong with them. It's dangerous to be a vegetarian. Dangerous to the mental and physical health. A cult. It's a cult, a dangerous cult, vegetarianism. Of course there were some vegetarians around, but it was very rare. And, to speak of sex life, it was quite a challenge. And Prabhupada went right into the heart of it all. New York, the center of materialism, basically speaking. And there he preached to young people. Most of them were drug addicts or something. Preaching to them, no intoxication. All of them were sex mad. No sex unless you're married. Quite a challenge. A complete change in the whole paradigm of American civilization, practically, based on sense enjoyment. Completely. Economic basis, education basis, even religion. Practically facilitating sense enjoyment. Who preached against it, even though people criticized him. Never, he didn't compromise, he just carried on to preach the truth. If there's a boy, you've got to cut it out. Don't just praise it or puff on it. What a pretty boy you've got. Put a patch on it. No, you've got to get it out. Prabhupada preached the truth. He was really compassionate. And so humble at the same time. My dear Lord Krishna, he said, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Can you imagine? Prabhupada saying, America, this terrible place. Every Indian is trying to get a green card to go to America. Gotta go to America. The land of whatever it is. Land of, what do they call it?
Opportunities.
Opportunities. Land of New Zealand they call it land of milk and honey or something. London where the footpaths are paved with gold. And all these illusory ideas. When you get there, you wonder, what am I doing here? Blooming hell. But they think like that. Let me get a green card. And people lining up along the Chowpatty, along the side, along the promenade, looking out over the ocean. I asked one Indian person, why are they all lining up there? He said, they're all dreaming about going to America. Looking over the ocean. If only I could go to Europe. And so frequently when we travel in India, people come up, can you help me to get a visa to wherever, anywhere? And I usually say I'm staying in the Philippines or Malaysia. They sometimes change their minds. And when they go to England, they see white skin, they think England, Australia, America, Canada, somewhere or another. They go there, heaven on earth. But, Prabhupada is saying, why have you brought me to this terrible place? Otherwise you must have some business here. Not the type of business most Indian people or any Asian or anybody goes to America for business, but not that type of business. Not to make money. Krishna's business in America is not to make money. Start a new company there. Well, a lot of people do, Krishna's chicken and whatever it is shop. Beef curry shop. Krishna's beef curry shop, you see it all over the place. Indian shop, beef curry shop. Most of the population here, Prabhupada says, is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion, absorbed in material life. They think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. Again, Prabhupada's not like going, I know I'll give it to them, I know what the formula is. It's when they're dependent on Krishna. This is the real secret. We may have some ability, okay, go ahead, try. But without dependence on Krishna, it's not going to awaken the spiritual spark. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. He's appealing to the Lord to please be merciful. Just like Vasudeva Datta appealed to the Lord to deliver every living entity in the universe. In one wonderful purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, this is regarding the dog of Shivananda saying, Srila Prabhupada described there in one of the purports, that just as by becoming dear to a devotee, and as the dog did, The dog was delivered back to Godhead. Back to Godhead. By the mercy of Shivananda Singh. So he said that I hope that all my disciples will also become so advanced that by their wish, by their mercy or their wish alone, their desire alone, all the living entities will be delivered back to Godhead. He didn't even take the credit himself. He would give the credit to his disciples, to his spiritual master and his disciples. Another aspect of Prabhupada's movement. I wish, how will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. Praying for your mercy. What can we say? You're sincere, your prayer. We pray. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore by your will, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. It sounds like they have no choice in it, the living entities, but it's not the fact. This is another aspect of Krishna's mercy. The living entities desire to come into the illusion. They want to be separate from Krishna. But without Krishna's will, they cannot be separated. So all right then, Krishna says that's what you want to do. And then he provides this world. And similarly, by Krishna's will, only can the living entities be delivered. We have no power on our own. I wish that you may deliver them. However, the Lord is controlled by the love of his devotees. The love of his pure devotee who surrendered to him. The Lord, anyone who receives the mercy of a pure devotee is guaranteed to go back to God. Srila Prabhupada's desire to see all living entities delivered, Krishna has to fulfill it. How he fulfills it, we may not see. We see bodies, we don't see souls, we don't know what's going on. When people die, we don't know where they're going. Just see the body, that's all. But the desire of the pure devotee, Krishna is controlled by the love of his devotees. That's what controls it. So he says, I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of the Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. These are just a few verses here Prabhupada quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, essential verses, and if you're a student of Krishna consciousness, you must study the second chapter of the first canto over and over and over again. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 2, 17, 21, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. At the time loving service is established in the heart, the modes of passion and ignorance and lust and desire disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes happy. Thus established in the mode of goodness, the man rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord gains liberation from material association, mukti, and comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. Thus the knots of the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive action is terminated when one sees the self as master. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore I am seeking your benediction, so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or a failure, as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar. The most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. So that's Prabhupada's mood. What more can you say? That was his mood, one of complete dependence and helplessness, save and except for his dependence on the mercy of the Lord. Taking shelter at his lotus feet. Even if we have got something, we always have to have this mood of humility and dependence upon Krishna always. And this prayerful mood, not this proud mood, but this prayerful mood. Taking shelter at the lotus feet of one's Lord at all times. What more can you say? Everything's, Prabhupada said exactly what is required in that poem to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Don't think that anyone, oh, that's Prabhupada. No, Prabhupada said anyone who takes shelter can also become spiritual master and spread Krishna consciousness all over. Teach everyone you meet about Krishna consciousness. If you develop, read this poem regularly, meditate upon it, pray. We may also get a little bit of the necessary qualifications to become empowered instrument for spreading Krishna consciousness. In the meantime, we have the order of Srila Prabhupada, his merciful, that's the form of his mercy, his instruction, to endeavor to assist Prabhupada whatever the way we can in spreading Krishna consciousness. Here we are in Australia. I don't know how many people live in Sydney? 4 million? 5 million? 4 million? 5 million? Something. So many people to preach to. The world has now reached 7 billion population. It's not like it's 6, I think 7. Gone up, so they say. Plenty of people who have gotten this human life who need the message of Lord Chaitanya, need this mercy. Do what we can, distribute Prabhupada's books to wherever you can, chant the holy names, go on hari-nama-sankirtana, give prasada, talk to people about Krishna, invite people to the temple, whatever's within your means, but share Krishna consciousness. Don't remain on the bodily platform, thinking I'm in India and rhyme with this or rhyme with that. Krishna consciousness is the natural condition for every soul. Some are covered differently. Prabhupada was Indian. He preached to Americans. He didn't go looking for the Indians in New York. There weren't many anyway. He went to the areas where there were mostly young people at that time. Some clear directive arrangement, but he preached to the Americans. And you can see the result. Very great opportunity here to take up this mission of preaching Krishna consciousness for others' benefit. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Questions or comments?
Maharaj, like in the poem we see that Prabhupada is totally dependent on Krishna and he says he's dependent, but at this point of time, like let's say if we say something, I'm going to do this, first thing people ask us like, what's your plan? So we usually think about what we're going to do and everything. So, and then if I pray like that, it would be like something inside me says that you're just faking it. Because the confidence which I have is because I've planned rather than Krishna. So how do you actually
synthesize the two? Well, Prabhupada had plans too. He wasn't, just like completely blank. He had, as we heard, of course, Super Soul is inspiring us also. I mean, we're aware of it. The case of Prabhupada, no doubt, was the instruction of his spiritual master in connection with Krishna. Inspired. But he had his plans. And as we mentioned, Arjuna, Krishna said, you fight, his nature was to fight. And you depend on me. So we may have a plan. Sometimes the boys would approach Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, what does Krishna want? Prabhupada would sometimes say, Krishna wants to know what you want. What are you going to do? You don't just leave it up to Krishna, so to speak. Our abilities, even the thought, intelligence and so on is coming from Krishna. The point is, the more that you're dependent upon Krishna, the more likely it is that the intelligence and so on, which you're endowed with, will be suitable or effective in spreading Krishna consciousness. It's not ours. It belongs to Krishna also. We've just got this instrument or form which we're so-called our body and our mind and our intelligence and so on, which we use. But the more we understand that is Krishna's also, and the more likely that Krishna, the super soul at least, will guide us to do the right thing. That doesn't mean that we don't endeavor. As you say, you get confidence when you have some plan and not just go out blank completely. Even the boys who went blank, so they still had their plan. They were going to go out every day on the street and chant Hare Krishna or distribute books according to what they knew. Time and circumstance, you may have other gifts of the Lord which may be usable in Krishna's service, to use them intelligently, common sense, but we depend on Krishna, not that we think, I am the doer. Prabhupada has so much, but he's thinking here, I have no qualification, I have no knowledge. I simply have faith in the holy name of Krishna. But he still endeavored to spread Krishna consciousness. He didn't just leave it up to Krishna, so to speak. It's a synthesis of coming together of these two aspects of acting according to your nature or what you've been endowed with by the Lord, and trying to use your intelligence and so on. At the same time, depending on Krishna. Combination. And then it will become more likely. Because after all, let's face it, what is the purpose of all the activities that we do anyway? This thing, that thing. It's really to bring us to the point of depending on Krishna. So we practice this. By prayer, by remembrance, by hearing about Krishna and so on. Constantly remember this. This was Prabhupada was very practical. So he was a very practical person. He was, of course, involved in business as a family man also, so obviously he had to have some practical plan to base things upon. But we depend upon Krishna. Not that we depend upon our ability or the plan itself. We put the plan into practice. We have to. That's a God-given gift to be able to see that. It may not be completely perfect. And we must be humble enough to see that maybe others have got a better idea. So still we have our inspirations and we have to channel those in the service of Krishna. And depend upon Krishna for the results. Whatever you want. You do your duty, and depend upon Krishna. Knowing that His mercy that we can do what we're doing also. And depend upon Him. And not take the credit thinking that I've done this, that, the other, because we're neophytes, so there's an element of all this mixed kind of motivation. We gradually learn. All part of the process of advancing in Krishna consciousness. So we don't deny these things. They're coming from Krishna anyway. We don't need to deny it. We just have to learn how to utilize them in Krishna's service, and not for our own self-motivated, selfish purposes. This dependence, this prayer. If you chant your rounds nicely, then generally one finds that Krishna gives one so much clearer inspiration as to how to put into practice our God-given gifts, be they physical, mental, or intellectual, whatever they are. This is the real prayer, which at least that much we can do, is to try to make the endeavor to chant the holy names attentively. Otherwise we remain in this material world, despite our big plans. Chant the holy names carefully, with attention. So yes, go ahead with your plans, but try to accompany it with nice chanting. And try to pray to Krishna for guidance and strength, not to become disheartened when it doesn't go your way, but to continue to perform our duty accordingly. Take advice from others. Don't be puffed up, a little humble. Krishna will guide him gradually. Prabhupada tried many different ways also, and if things didn't work, he would adjust. He wasn't stuck in his ways. He would adjust, and we're dealing with the material world. All is changing. And the main thing is that whatever situation is, we're chanting Hare-Krishna, depending on Krishna, and not depending on the results or the effectivity of our so-called plans. So, master plan. What is our servant's plan? Make a plan. Make a goal, something to aim at, no problems. But still, chant Hare-Krishna nicely and depend on Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
additions to them. I think if you read this poem regularly, it really helps. Very important, Makini Bhagavad Dharma. The mood of our movement. And there's no way that we can sit down idly and just chant and depend on Krishna. We act. No doubt the whole Bhagavad Gita is directed to performing action, basically. But action, tasmat-sarveshu-kali action with consciousness of Krishna. Not just doing it because we got a little ability. Becoming conscious of Krishna. Thank you very much. It's actually 9 o'clock. I think I'm not sure.
Yes, it
It is.
There's a reflection on the clock. Without getting into all the details, you know by reading and hearing so many things that you've heard, Srila Prabhupada has written given us guidelines. We can just try to take it a little bit more deeply and a little more seriously to heart. What can you say? You can't force people. The more we place ourselves in this position of instrumental, dependent upon the Lord, the more one can become empowered. We may have things already, but they become powerful. Well, sometimes it's a struggle to get things done. That's all right. It's all part of the purification, part of the realization. But ultimately, when those surcharged, and naturally the effect is there. People's hearts change. People who know how to do things become Krishna conscious, then naturally it's a little different, a little easier. Just to try to work out how to do things we're just not kind of built for, basically. It's a little hard. It becomes sort of whatever you got, use it. At the same time, become a little serious about our Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hey, Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Holiness, gentlemen,